Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we are diving into one of the weirdest, most mysterious forms of audio distortion out there, aliasing. It's kind of like a phantom menace in the world of digital audio, and in this explainer, we are going to unmask it completely.
So, let me ask you something. Have you ever been listening to a recording, maybe a song or a podcast, and you hear this strange, unnatural, kind of metallic distortion that just wasn't there in the original performance? If you've ever thought, wait, what is that sound? Then you've probably run into our topic for today.
And that weird sound, it has a name. It's called aliasing. You see, it's what happens when a digital system gets tricked. It sees a super high frequency, but because of the way it's taking its measurements, it mistakenly records it as a completely different, lower frequency. It's a case of mistaken identity, and it gets written directly into your audio file.
Okay, so to understand how this deception even happens, we first have to talk about the fundamental rule of digital audio. A rule that, when you break it, has some pretty serious consequences.
And that rule is called the Nyquist theorem. Honestly, it's the golden rule of digital sampling. It states, very clearly, that to accurately record any sound, your sample rate, that's the number of snapshots you take per second, has to be at least double the highest frequency you're trying to capture. No exceptions.
And I really want to stress, this is not just a suggestion. If you violate the Nyquist rule, aliasing will happen. It's not a maybe, it's a certainty. It's a direct, unavoidable consequence of sampling too slowly. You can think of it as a fundamental law of digital physics.
Okay, so how does a digital system actually get fooled into hearing the wrong sound? Let's get into exactly how this whole case of mistaken identity goes down. It really all comes down to the way digital systems see the world.
You know, the best way to visualize this is to imagine you're in a dark room with a strobe light flashing. You don't see smooth, continuous motion, right? You just see these frozen little moments every single time the light flashes.
Well, digital sampling works the exact same way. A real analog sound wave is this smooth, continuous thing, but a digital recorder, it only grabs these individual snapshots, these samples, at very specific points in time. Then it has to basically connect the dots to try and rebuild the sound wave.
And this right here, this is where the trick happens. If that strobe light is flashing too slowly, you can't tell the difference between a fan blade spinning super fast and one that's moving pretty slow, right? It could look the same. It's the same with audio. If you sample too slowly, the dots you collect from a really high-frequency wave could be the exact same dots you'd get from a low-frequency wave. The system has no way of knowing which one was the original, so it just defaults to the lower one, creating a totally false tone, an alias.
Let's put some actual numbers to this so it makes more sense. Imagine you've got a high-pitched tone at 12 kilohertz, and let's say you decide to record it with a sample rate of 16 kilohertz. Okay, so according to our rule, the Nyquist theorem, the highest frequency you can accurately capture, your Nyquist limit, is half that sample rate. So half of 16 is 8 kilohertz. Well, our tone is at 12 kilohertz, which is way above that 8 kilohertz limit, and that means we've got a big problem.
So what happens? The system literally can't record 12 kilohertz properly, so it creates a false tone, an alias. And this new frequency is the difference between your sample rate and that original tone. In our case, 16 kilohertz minus 12 kilohertz gives us a brand new, much lower 4 kilohertz tone. A sound that was never actually there has just been permanently baked right into your recording.
And that word, permanently, that is absolutely key. This isn't just some technical glitch we're talking about. For audio engineers, for musicians, this is a creative nightmare.
So where are you most likely to hear this phantom distortion? Well, it's usually in sounds that have a lot of high-frequency energy. Think about the shimmer of cymbals or the highest notes on violins. It's also a really common problem in early digital synthesizers and when you use aggressive audio effects like really heavy distortion or when you dramatically pitch shift a sample up or down.
Now, it is crucial to understand that aliasing is not the same thing as noise. Not at all. Noise is usually random. It's hiss or hum, and you can often filter it out or reduce it. But aliasing, that's a fundamental frequency distortion. The fake tone it creates is mathematically related to the original sound, and that means once it's in your recording, it's impossible to remove without also destroying the good part of the sound you wanted to keep. It's a permanent scar on your audio.
So if you can't fix it, what do you do? Well, it turns out the only real cure is prevention. And luckily, we have some really effective gatekeepers that are designed to protect our audio from this phantom menace. The strategy is actually a pretty simple two-part process.
First, you just choose a sample rate that's high enough to give you plenty of breathing room. That's why professional audio almost always uses rates like 44.1 or 48 kilohertz. It's more than double the absolute limit of human hearing. And second, and this is just as important, you use a special kind of filter.
This is the true gatekeeper, the anti-aliasing filter. It's a piece of hardware that sits right at the front door before the digital conversion happens, and its only job is to be a bouncer. It listens to all the audio coming in, and it aggressively chops off any frequency that's too high to be safely sampled. It makes sure that no rule-breaking frequencies can even get in the door to cause trouble. All right, so let's wrap this all up with the 3 things you absolutely need to remember. Number 1, aliasing is what happens when you sample too slowly when you break the Nyquist theorem. Number 2, it's this phantom distortion where high frequencies get disguised as new, false, lower frequencies. And number 3, and this is the big one, it is an unfixable error. The only way to deal with it is to prevent it from ever happening in the first place.
And that leaves us with one final thought. Aliasing is kind of everywhere in our digital world, but a lot of the time it's subtle. But now that you know the rule, now you know what to listen for. That weird, unnatural, out-of-place tone. The next time you hear it, you won't just think it's bad audio quality. You'll know the rule was broken. Happy listening.